Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Clark, and welcome to the Boozadelic Chronicles. Today, I have a special guest in the studio, somebody I've known for a long time, and I think it's a very relevant topic that we talk about some 401ks and life insurance and what we can do during these times. Mr. Lonnie Bowden, welcome in.
Thanks for having me, Clark.
You're welcome.
So I'll kind of just introduce myself. Like Clark said, Clark and I've known one another for a while. And I'm aging everybody for New York Life. And I know when people hear New York Life, they feel we just do life insurance. But New York Life is a mutual company, so we do so much more than just life insurance. We do life insurance, retirement planning, like Clark mentioned, 401k. So wherever somebody's at in life, I can be a resource to you and your family.
During these times, one of the questions I have is there anything that we can do to utilize what we have as far as life insurance? And then also as far as people acquiring life insurance, if they think that, oh, maybe a health condition or I'm too old to qualify, what would you recommend, sir?
One thing about it is that if you have any kind of life insurance, especially if it's personal and that's outside of work, is sitting down or maybe contacting your financial professional. So if you did a policy, say for instance with State Farm, maybe call that State Farm agent and have them go over that policy with you. If not, pretty much dig back through that stuff. The reason I say that is because there's two types of life insurance out there that majority of agents do. And the first one is that we'll see all the time on television, which is the term insurance, which is that you have like, $1 million worth of life insurance. But that's going to be, ladies and gentlemen, just to cover if you pass away. The second portion is going to be cash value life insurance. Now, if people have cash value life insurance, this can kind of play in so many ways. It can play for, like Clark was asked, like times like this, like, so say for instance, if you maybe want to pull money out of your cash value life insurance, you can do so and have those funds on hand, especially how we've been going through a pandemic to kind of help for paying a few extra bills or just having the extra cash on hand. And also too can kind of help too is if you were to pass. So those are going to be the two types. So with preconditions if you feel you have like a precondition, the best thing to do is talk to your agent and let your agent know up front that you have these preconditions. And what I mean by that could be like things like if you smoke or if you have heart attack or if you had a stroke, let them know, because what happens is that a lot of times I know with New York Life is that we would be able to still provide insurance for that individual, but it might be a little bit more higher. So if you keep that in mind, say, hey, I just want to make sure that I can have protection for my family, we can definitely research that information for you to let you know how much it would be and those things, so you're set up for success.
Is it ever too late?
It's never too late to have life insurance. The thing about it is that as we get older, the premiums will get higher. And also too, so say for instance, if somebody wanted to, they have like an elderly parent or an elderly grandparent, they want to have insurance for that person. A lot of times it's just that they won't be able to get maybe $1 million policy. It might be more of a final expense policy, but they would still have something to take care of, funeral needs and maybe a few bills that this person is leaving behind. So that's one of those things to kind of keep in mind as far as for the life insurance piece, is that the best time to get is when you're younger. But, as we start to kind of get older too, don't shy away from life insurance because of maybe myths or just things that maybe we've heard. Talk to your financial professional to kind of get a little bit more information about that.
So how does that, the final expenses and all that, so that's just basically going to cover the cost of burial and pay off any residual bills or anything?
Usually with final expense policies, people will have those designed for maybe $25,000 to $50,000. And what that is because it appears how that person might want to have their funeral or their celebration of life taken care of. So, you figure with the celebration of life, because I've helped people design these plans, usually it can be anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000, and we'll design an insurance policy to cover that. Or we can have things that are more like if it's going to be the traditional funeral, the plot funeral casket, maybe people have a few bills that would cover that. So that's the way that would be covered. And yes, Clark, to answer your question, just to cover just the final expenses, just for funeral. Because a lot of times people won't go down to, like a Rose City or a Ding Memorial to talk about pre-planning for a funeral. So when those things don't happen, they want to have that final expense insurance. Just to take care of that final expense if somebody does pass.
What is the difference between whole life and term?
That's a very, very good question. So And I'm glad you asked that. So term insurance is going to go for a certain term. So it would usually go like for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30-year term. After that, and I would say one more time, after that, that premium will do two things. It'll either spike in price or either it'll pretty much be to the whole thing where it'll fall off. So term insurance is not going to be designed to have that piece of insurance for a long period of time. But also too with term insurance, if you do talk to your financial agent, and the one thing I always tell my clients when I meet with them is that we know that we just want to have something to take care of you and cover you for right now, but you can also too take term insurance and upgrade to some whole life insurance as well. And whole life insurance is going to be something where I always want to recommend this too to everybody to read the book called What Would the Rockefellers Do? Because before 401ks came into the market, wealth was built with cash value life insurance. So the way cash value life insurance works, in those first years, it's not going to be anything that makes you go like, ooh, ah, ooh. And also too, it's definitely not going to be a get rich quick scheme. But one thing it's going to definitely do is, especially times like this, it's going to basically grow over time in cash value. So you can take money out to take care of, things like, hey, we don't have enough money, or say, for instance, if you wanted to, if there wasn't a pandemic, you wanted to start a business, buy a home, you'd be able to do those things because you have that cash value. So people always say, Lonnie, when, if I have some cash value life insurance and I took money out, what does that look like? So for numbers sake and just basic math, if we had $100,000 whole life policy, we took $10,000 out. Now that policy be valued at $90,000 because we took $10,000 out. So just keep that in mind. But now if you say, for instance, you're still working, or maybe if you're using that $10,000 to maybe flip a home or pay for a daughter's wedding, if you put that money back, it goes back to $100,000. But you have to realize that's your money. And also too, it's not tied into the market. So with cash value or a whole life insurance, those terms, guys, don't be confused. They're the same thing. Is that one thing that makes it really nice is that it's your money. It's not tied into a market. I know a lot of times people would go like, well, I want to invest. Having whole life insurance and also having basic term insurance is going to be the best way to have safe money, especially in a market like this. So, yeah.
Okay. And now that you mentioned market, it'd be a good time to transition into 401ks.
Right.
And I know 401ks are basically based on what the market is. Mm-hmm. And now we're in probably what looks like it's going to be a depression. We're beyond recession at this point. What kind of advice would you give somebody that's, because a lot of people almost have to start all over again. So what kind of advice would you give people right now about that, trying to build that 401k so they can have a decent retirement?
Yeah. So one thing with your 401k is, guys, for one, I'll use myself as, for instance, is that when Clark and I worked for 24 Hour Fitness, they always have the benefit package that rolls out. And a lot of times we'll have the 401k and then you'll ask your neighbor about what did they do. So if that person comes out and they say like, hey, listen, we have the 401k benefit through your employer, make sure you understand how that is. And also to learn about the market, right? Because like Clark said, it is tied to the market. So you want to know where your money is going. And usually when you sit down with a financial professional, they'll have you usually take a test where it's going to be strong, moderate, or aggressive. And, you want to know yourself and how you want to have your money, in this portfolio of your 401k. But also, too, you want to make sure that you pay attention. I know so many times, I take it off everybody else, put it on myself, is that, we'll get lazy and say, hey, I know I have my 401k. It's a benefit that my job offers, and I'm quote unquote using that for retirement. But if you never ever pay attention to that, you never be able to grow it. And so the second part of Clark's question is that with that 401k in times like this, is this the time you might want to take it from your employer? Because a lot of people are getting furloughed or they might be, getting laid off. Take whatever's left and pretty much maybe roll into a IRA where you have a relationship with the advisor. You guys are sitting down maybe 6 months to a year to kind of talk about that, because if nobody expected the market to hit like it hit and then for things to go the way it did. And so, you figure your 401k now might be a 101k or a 201k, especially if you're not paying attention to it. Okay.
All right. So the insurance, it's something that's always going to be around, something that everybody can benefit, everybody needs. What kind of opportunities exist in there for, say, somebody that wants to actually make a living in insurance?
One thing about with this opportunity, Clark, it's a great opportunity, right? Because like you mentioned, it's going to be one of those kind of things where it's always going to be around. But the reason why I got in this industry is because we get to help people who are like you and I, people of color who we don't really come from a lot of wealth. The financial literacy is not there. So you can pretty much be that resource and educate your community. But New York Life does a really great job with trying to bring on, African American agents. We have a segment too called the African American Marketing Unit. And they held a great seminar in February down in Houston that I went to, and kind of talking about the strength of the African American market, but then also to our job as far as for bringing that financial literacy to our communities. It was a gentleman who started off, as you mentioned this, especially African American, named Cirilo McSweeney. You guys can look that up. Also, too, was an article about him in I believe in a 1959 or 1960 Ebony magazine. And this gentleman worked hand in hand with Martin Luther King. So a lot of times when, you figure civil rights leaders would get hauled off to jail for, whatever kind of reasons, they would call Cirilo to go down there and take money out of a cash value life insurance policy to bail Martin Luther King Jr. out, and, and those things. So really great opportunity also to you have to ask yourself too, by being in this industry, you can't be to the whole thing where you're get upset about hearing no's. It's going to be an entrepreneurial ship. You have to be very, very thick-skinned, but it's going to be a great career and also to a rewarding career, because you're going to be able to say that you helped yourself and also two families, right? To give them the information that they need. And people always want to do business with they know, like, and trust, right? And also too is a very, very crazy statistic, but it's a true statistic, how the African American community, when they didn't have people who look like us come in and talk to the family, they were always underinsured, right? They said, oh, your family's valued at $25,000, $50,000. We figured this family has a house, they have kids. So why are they only valued at $25,000 or $50,000, and you're talking to another family about maybe $1 million policy? So we want to try and make sure we educate, and it's a great career, and I love it, and continue to look to keep growing success in it.
Insurance industry, I know you guys do a lot of outreach to the community. I followed you on your social media. I saw the pictures from your conference in Houston, but I saw you doing a lot of stuff locally, like even on the weekends and stuff. Talk some about that.
Yeah, I've always liked to be part of the community, like I was mentioning before. So last year, when we didn't have the pandemic, I did the Juneteenth, right? And that's a great day, and it's great being out in the community and being the face. And just sharing with people about, like, hey, what do we do, right? Compared to being quote unquote the sales guy. But you're out in the community, people see you, they can relate to you, they can ask questions, and also too, it's a more of a comfortable environment. You can go from being the guy in a suit and tie to just out there with the shirt on, out there mixing mingling with the community. And also too, I'm an Oregon native, so people know me. I grew up here, so it's great to kind of mix and mingle and share what I'm doing with the New York Life, and then also to kind of tell them and educate them about how New York Life can help them and their family.
So other than the agent, what other opportunities exist within the New York Life and Insurance business?
That's a great question, Clark. With New York Life, you can always go from being that role that I'm at currently, from being an agent, which means that, you're working out in the field, like Clark says, you're out in the community, you're mixing and mingling to help grow your business and let people know what you're doing. But also too, you can grow from that. And if you want to start to become a partner with New York Life, you can do that. Now, what a partner does, they're not going to be out in the field as much. They're going to pretty much start to train and develop, new agents as they come along, and kind of show them the success about being successful in this industry. And they help to develop a team. So that's what the partner role does. So New York Life has a wide variety of opportunities that you can grow with the company, to be able to be resources in the New York Life team. But also too, if you want to bring on a team and develop a team, you can always pretty much, check out by being a partner role with New York Life too.
So now, if somebody wants to contact you to obtain your services, which is the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is either going to be through email. And that's, one of the best ways to get me, or you can always call me. So either one. And one thing I always try to do, Clark, with that is make sure that I get back to people who have an interest in my services, and within 24 to 48 hours. I really believe in customer service. And taking care of my clients' needs, and being able to let them know that, hey, I'm here for them, because this industry too is all about trust. And people don't want somebody, if they have a question, the person takes a long time to get back to them. So I always really pride myself on that.
I want to thank you for coming in today on this segment of the Boozadelic Chronicles, because like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, that insurance is something that we all need.
Yes, it is.
And we're all going to die at some time. We all have families and loved ones that we want to be able to, not leave holding the bag.
Right. And to piggyback before we close out, and one thing about it is too, guys, you have to realize with insurance, you want to make sure you leave your family with benefits and not bills, right? And if I can be a resource to anybody out there to kind of provide education before you have to go do maybe a GoFundMe, I would love to do so, because one thing that I want everybody to realize is that a GoFundMe only takes care of maybe just the final expense. We can design insurance policy to take care of the final expense, but also to make sure you're not losing everything. It's always sad when we lose a loved one, but we don't want to lose the loved one, our house, the community that our kids are in, the plans that we have as far as for college education. So we can always do that as well. So just let people know.
So there you have it, folks. If you find this information useful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit that like button. This is Clark. Thank you for tuning in to the Boozadelic Chronicles. And I'd like to once again thank our special guest, Mr. Lonnie Bowden.